Hello, you amazing humans. Thank you so much for being here with us on our March meetup. We are so excited. We have some amazing people on the lineup for you today. So we are really, really excited to have you here and that we're happy to be here. So on behalf of For Her Voice, I just want to thank you so much. My name is Yushay King, and I am the owner of For Her Voice. And when we started really just kind of talking about the idea of having these meetup sessions, we wanted to first make sure that everyone understood the concept and the importance of what For Her Voice is. And we are really just all about creating a community where individuals, especially coaching individuals who have coaching practices, have an opportunity to come together to learn, share, and impact our community and our industry and at large. And that's why we're here. And so Renita Pace and I got together and talked about the idea of not only using the For Her Voice business itself, because we work in our coaching practice, we utilize assessments. Assessments are a big part of our coaching practice. And so we wanted to really spend some time learning the things that we didn't know and that we really didn't understand. We wanted to get other individuals who were coaches just like us to get us together in a space where we were safe and could have conversations about things that are impacting and affecting the coaching community. And so here we are. I am a professional group coach after 35 years in a Fortune 15, having worked with and developed leaders. I've retired, and now I'm happy to be a part of For Her Voice, which offers organizational and facilitative assessments. Renita, if you don't mind, you want to give a quick introduction of yourself?
Thank you. My name is Renita Pace, and I am an executive coach and have been in that experience or that realm for 7+ years, working with leaders on their leadership development. And so this session is really exciting, and I'm so interested. I love that we're going to have this a speaker today to share, and let's talk about pricing. So without further ado, let's launch in because I can't wait.
So I too am really, really excited to get into the conversation. And one of the reasons and one of the questions that we have for our guest today is really all around the importance of using assessments even in your coaching practice and trying to figure out how does that factor into your product, your packaging, and your pricing. With that, we have come together and we work on putting together these types of topics and discussions for you. They're 30-minute sound bites. They're succinct discussion sessions where we inform you about a particular topic. We take time to discuss it, and then we share our own insights. There are different topics every single month. And just like Renita said, this month's topic about pricing, especially as it relates to imposter syndrome, can't wait to dig in and learn a little bit more there. So with that, let's go ahead and make sure that we understand the true purpose of today is so that everyone here has an opportunity to walk away and learn some new tips about how to effectively price your coaching service. So I am so happy to have Susan Zabransky here. And Susan is with EQ Smarts, and that's HPT Works with an S.com. I'll get that updated. But Susan has been phenomenal in getting us certified in some of the training areas that we have completed. And she works in this capacity on a regular basis and is here to lend her insight and her knowledge around the value of assessments and pricing. So Susan, help us, please. Help us to better understand what we can do with pricing. And let's start by asking you, how are assessments important in your space, in your coaching practice? And thanks again for being here.
Assessments have always been at the really foundational level for me in my business, my practice. I've been doing coaching, consulting, and training on the corporate side since '04, and using assessments consistently since that time. And for me, they provide a level of expertise as a coach, and a consultant that can really, or does really, set you apart. They have set me apart. I have gotten coaching projects and contracts simply because of my expertise in emotional intelligence. For example, using particular assessments, the EQI and DISC, and there's all kinds. They give you that extra level of credibility, I think, and expertise. Plus, they provide a baseline for your client, that, like you had on your self-awareness slide. Self-awareness is so critical, and assessing is just a way, from a very objective way, that you can increase your client's self-awareness, and then have a tool to utilize and build your coaching around.
Oh, that's awesome. And I think sometimes I struggle, especially when working with clients, about whether or not to include the assessment as an introductory or a free offer in the packaging, because I recognize the importance and the value of the assessment, and I don't want to ever devalue it. So
Right.
sometimes, just having that conversation or including it. So any advice there for just something as simple as maybe including or adding assessments at no cost to your pricing or packaging? Any thoughts about that?
I think if there's a definite place for that, I think it depends on, I guess, your sense of how committed that client is to working with you. If they need to be kind of pushed over the edge a little bit, sometimes I will include a free assessment. Other times I would send them a sample of a report, right, of an assessment, so they can see what that looks like. I worked with a company where they wanted to vet everything. And so I worked with their vice president of learning and development, and he took 3 different assessments, one of which was a 360. And I did all of that up front at no cost. But then I ended up working with that organization for several years, so that was an easy investment on my part. You chuck that up to your marketing costs, right?
Yeah.
Really.
I like that. I like that. You taught me something there too, to consider that, right? So is it the difference between sort of packaging it, or this is probably leading into my next question a little bit too. I see the information out there between, do I use packages? Do I use monthly fees? Do I use just a flat rate? And then I also see, hey, you have to sort of measure your expertise versus your experience. So I don't know which one is better. Where do I start?
Well, that's another reason why assessments are so great, because they give you, you can get expertise in an assessment tool quickly, right? And that expertise immediately can set you apart, immediately can rise you above the competition. That expertise, right, gives me an edge and gives me confidence.
You hit on one more thing there too. I think when you talk about it building confidence, there's this insecurity that we often have in the way of pricing, right? And some of us, especially when it comes to communities of color or disenfranchised communities, we often struggle with something called imposter syndrome, right? And so the idea of really pricing something at a particular point is sometimes confusing, or you don't really know where to go. But you mentioned that an assessment could help build the confidence. I think that is an awesome way. Anything else that you might recommend that might help us in the way of overcoming imposter syndrome as it relates to pricing?
I think too, if you're talking about assessments in general, is when you're putting out a proposal and you're calculating the pricing, you want to think about not just, okay, how much is this assessment going to cost me, right? That there's professional level expertise in interpreting that report. So if you kind of spell it out into all of the pieces that it entails, boosts the value, I think, in the client's mind.
You talked about the professionalism and the boosting the value of yet again of my offering, because now I'm putting it all together, and because we can see the value add and the benefit, then it really does increase that worth. Why don't we talk about pricing in the coaching world?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, when I first started, I interfaced and networked a lot with different professional organizations. I was living in Portland, and yeah, it was just like this kind of code of silence, right? Nobody talks about their fees. Nobody shares. It's like this taboo subject that, I can't tell you how much I charge, and I can't tell you, which is kind of silly, I think, in a way. Anyway, because nobody's really 100% sure. I mean, unless you've been doing this for years and years, and you've gotten into a pattern and you know what to expect. But we talked before about regionally, pricing varies from around the country. I could charge here in Phoenix a lot more than I could charge in Portland. And, understanding what that fee structure is in your area is important. But I think we should have more open conversations around fees to help each other, like you're doing this community, as opposed to having more of a competitive sense, right? Oh, I can't tell you that because I'm competing with you. So
yeah. It seems like it's enough to go around, though, right? Because I know it just seems like there's enough business for us to spread. I love that there is a great question also in chat right now. Like, what are the differences in the different kinds of packages that we should consider? I heard you talk about putting it together as a package. I've heard of putting courses together online as packages.
Right.
What insider information might you want to share with us there?
Well, I think package or project pricing, either way, kind of one and the same, I suppose. You could think of them both. To me, I don't know, I don't spell out all my costs to my client, right? They don't know what my wholesale cost for an assessment is, right? But if I'm going to do a package, say I'm going to go and if I do a 3 or 6 month coaching engagement, right? What all is entailed in that. And then just having a little session with myself to brainstorm all the pieces and the things that I do. And I think part of that is valuing what you do, right? Valuing what I do, because I think we tend to think of it as just my job. It's just what I have to do, right? But thinking of it more in terms of how that presents value to your client. And of course that, I know it varies if it's coaching versus training, right? Or consulting, or that kind of thing. But I think, and then packaging it based on just the value that it's going to provide for that client. How much money are they going to save? If they're going to reduce their turnover, turnover costs are what, $35,000 per employee or something ridiculous like that. I haven't looked at it in a while, but helping, your clients see what is the cost of not moving forward for them.
And I've heard you say something that I really did want to capture here. And it looks like we have one more question. I think we can get both of those in before our time runs out. But I've heard you say that we don't really sell coaching, right? We sell something else, that we sell solutions.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and how do we incorporate that or make that consideration in our pricing?
Well, I think it has to do with, it's not about us, it's about the client. So we talk about the client has a presenting complaint, it's like you go to the doctor and you say, my elbow hurts or whatever it is, right? Well, often that presenting complaint is not what really is wrong with you. And so on one hand, you can't really take it at face value from your client. You want to do a little more digging and find out what are their pain points, what would look different for them, as far as the outcome, what outcomes are they looking for, either behaviorally or in their thinking or their mindset or whatever, and really focusing in on what they need, not who I am and what I do and what I bring, and then targeting it around those needs, to really zero in and target on those. I think that that's a really important process up front, and kind of a mini needs analysis, if you will.
Yeah. Good stuff. Ben, I'm going to try and squeeze this last one in if we could. And that question is, what other influences might impact pricing structure or practice? Anything else that we haven't considered or talked about?
It's interesting because there's this thing about fee integrity that basically says, you should be charging basically the same thing across your client base. You shouldn't like hike your fees way up for this client and, whatever. And it goes back to the value that you're going to provide for them, and how is it going to benefit them? And really base your pricing off of that. I think is kind of a foundational way to go. Just looking, I had some notes here. Yeah, and then just partnering with them. That's the other thing. I want to tell them, I always tell them I want to be a partner with them to really help them find the best solution. So developing that sense of partnership so they trust you. I use as a school teacher, and I had a big fat imposter syndrome for a while. And then I realized that I had expertise that other people didn't have. And that was where I, decided to build my credibility around and my confidence.
It goes back to, I think that's been the key driver is having confidence and recognizing your value, right? And understanding and seeing your value. So with that, I know we're coming up on time and we have just a couple more things before we wrap. I just want to know, what's one thing that you knew or you wish you had known as a new coach that you didn't know that you'd love to share with us for insight?
Well, I was thinking about this because before I shared, we're not just selling assessments, we're solving problems. But as I thought about some more, I thought one of the things that really I learned along the way was to follow the positive energy. When you're trying to find clients, oftentimes we go to those people that we know really need us, or the companies that are really struggling, right? They might be highly dysfunctional, or that they have issues. The problem with a lot of those dysfunctional organizations I found is the reason they're dysfunctional is they don't really focus in on employee development. They don't value, right, development as much. So I always say, find the learning organizations, and those are the people who naturally want to provide their employees with opportunities for development. And you can partner with those people. And then, so you follow that positive energy. That's kind of how I always have thought about it. And partner with those, and don't give your energy or, spin your wheels with those potential clients that probably need you more, but they don't recognize that. So
they don't recognize the value. Man, that was an absolute mic drop moment. So I know we had just a moment to try and recap. Renita, I heard some positive things. Follow that positive energy, and so know your value what you do. Anything else that you want to add?
Absolutely. Number one, spot on. She said, hey, an assessment can help you build that relationship. So, maybe you're offering it as part of your marketing because you see that relationship down the road and it will blossom into something else. The other thing, assessment adds expertise to the coaching experience. You're showing your value to your clients, and you have resources and tools to support your coaching engagement. I love that. Creates a framework, something that you can agree upon. It adds validity to what the client is feeling or saying. They can walk away and go, yes, this is who I am. Last thing, and I'll be really quick. I love be transparent. I think now let's just be transparent with our clients, with our other coaches about the pricing, because your price reflects your value. So if you're transparent about your pricing, it's going to reflect your value. So, don't go too low.
And listen, don't go low. Don't go low. Don't go low. All right. You guys.
I just want to mention this book.
Absolutely awesome. Yes.
This is such a great book. This book really taught me how to do value proposals, or how to position my offerings from a value-based $1 Million Consulting by Alan Weiss. I really highly recommend this book. It really walks you through so many practical tips.
Awesome. And I'll tell you what, I think we will get a copy of that book and make it available for anyone who attends our upcoming Continue This Conversation, the pricing workshop that we'll have next month. So right now we have on the calendar for our next month topic, the free session. We'll be talking about launching business or products. And we'll also be talking about what type of investments and partnerships and financial support in the way of grants and other things are available to us as coaches. I just mentioned that we have an amazing workshop, and what we will do is take this conversation and go deeper. We'll actually apply and create coaching strategies with a pricing model based on your particular specialty and or niche. And we'll have another special guest that will proof that information and give us some feedback. So, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Susan, for being there with us. Renita, thank you so much for weighing in, summarizing. As always, if you have any questions or any ideas for topics that we can continue to have this dialogue, this particular space where we come in and share ideas, not compete, where we help each other's business thrive, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You guys have been amazing. Thank you again for your time, and we will see you next month. Have a fantastic weekend, team. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.